passion that shatters the screen. He is one of the most influential, revered, and intense actors in the history of cinema. From the quiet, calculating power of Michael Corleone to the roaring, hoo-ha energy of Tony Montana, his career is a masterclass in transformation. But behind the iconic roles and the famous shout lies a story of struggle, obsession, and an unwavering commitment to his art. This is the story of Alfredo James Pacino. This is the story of a legend. The Bronx Beginnings, 1940 to 1959. Alfredo James Pacino was born on April 25, 1940, in East Harlem, New York City, to Italian-American parents, Salvatore and Rose Pacino. His life was marked by upheaval from the very beginning. His parents divorced when he was 2 years old, and he was sent to live with his grandparents in the South Bronx. His father, Salvatore, moved to California, largely disappearing from his life. This absence of a father figure would become a recurring theme in many of his future characters. His mother, Rose, struggled with depression and passed away when Al was just 22 years old. It was a devastating blow. The young Pacino found an escape not in school. He famously failed nearly every subject except English, but on the streets and in the movie theaters. He was a self-proclaimed street kid, but he found solace in performing, dazzling other kids with impressions and jokes. At age 17, after seeing a performance by his idol, actor Albert Salmi, he knew his calling. He auditioned for the prestigious High School of Performing Arts, but was rejected. Undeterred, he took odd jobs: a messenger, a supermarket clerk, a janitor, a mailroom attendant, all while relentlessly pursuing acting. He honed his craft at the Herbert Berghoff studio, where he met his lifelong friend and acting coach, Charlie Lawton. The struggle was real. He was often broke and homeless, sometimes sleeping on the stage of a theater or on friends' floors. His passion was the only thing that kept him warm. The crucible of the stage, 1960 to 1971. Visuals. Photos from Pacino's early stage performances in The Indian Wants the Bronx and Does a Tiger Wear a Necktie? Video clips from his Oscar-nominated role in The Panic in Needle Park. Before he was a movie star, Al Pacino was an actor's actor, forged in the fiery crucible of off-Broadway theater. He studied method acting at the legendary Actors Studio under Lee Strasberg, a training that would define his intensely immersive and psychologically driven approach to character development. His breakthrough came on stage, not on screen. In 1968, his electrifying performance in the one-act play The Indian Wants the Bronx won him an Obie Award. The following year, he won a Tony Award for his role in Does a Tiger Wear a Necktie? Hollywood took notice. His first significant film role was in 1971's The Panic in Needle Park, a gritty, unflinching look at heroin addicts in New York City. His portrayal of the charismatic and doomed Bobby was so raw and authentic that it caught the eye of a young director named Francis Ford Coppola, who was battling studio executives over his casting choices for a new film about a powerful Italian-American crime family. Well-known facades such as known faces Robert Redford or Ryan O'Neal, Coppola fought for the unknown, intense, and Italian-American Pacino. He insisted he had found his Michael Corleone. Getting the part was only half the battle. On set, Pacino was quiet, internal, and fiercely focused. The studio still doubted him, fearing his performance wasn't commanding enough. They didn't understand that Pacino and Coppola were building a character whose power grew not from loud proclamations, but from chilling, silent calculation. The release of The Godfather in 1972 was a cultural earthquake. Pacino's transformation from the reluctant war hero's son to the cold, ruthless Don is arguably the greatest character arc in cinematic history. He received his first Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor, though he famously boycotted the ceremony, feeling his role was a lead. He proved it was no fluke with a string of legendary performances. As the honest cop Frank Serpico in Sidney Lumet's Serpico 1973, he raged against a corrupt system. As the shy, sensitive bank robber Sonny Wurtzik in Dog Day Afternoon 1975, he displayed vulnerability, humor, and tragic desperation, famously chanting Attica. Attica. These roles earned him back-to-back Best Actor nominations. And then, in 1974, he returned to Michael Corleone in The Godfather, Part 2. This performance was even more masterful, depicting a man fully consumed by power and paranoia, isolated in his empire of darkness. The film completed one of the greatest one-two punches in film history and cemented Pacino's status as the premier actor of his generation. The Wilderness Years and the Scarface Phoenix 1976 to 1990, Scenes from Cruising, Scarface, Sea of Love, the famous Say Hello to My Little Friend scene. The mid to late 70s and early 80s were a period of artistic risk and commercial struggle. He took on challenging, often controversial projects like the psychological thriller Bobby Deerfield 1977 and the much maligned Cruising 1980, which polarized critics and audiences. But just as his career seemed to be in a downturn, he rose again with a volcanic, career-defining performance. Scarface 1983, directed by Brian De Palma, was initially dismissed as excessive and violent. Yet, Pacino's portrayal of Cuban refugee Tony Montana, his accent, his rage, his insatiable ambition, became a cultural touchstone. The film found a second life on home video and cable. Evolving from a critical disappointment to a beloved classic, particularly in the hip-hop community. After a 4-year hiatus from film, he returned with a triumphant comeback in 1989's Sea of Love, re-establishing himself as a bankable leading man and setting the stage for the most acclaimed year of his career, the Oscar and the Elder Statesman 1991 present. In 1992, Al Pacino gave 2 of his greatest performances. First, as the ruthless, blind-eyed lawyer in Glengarry Glen Ross, and second, as the blind, retired Lieutenant Colonel Frank Slade in Scent of a Woman. His performance was a tour de force of charm, bitterness, and vulnerability, culminating in a famous tango and a fiery speech in defense of honor. After 7 previous nominations, he finally won the Academy Award for Best Actor. The decades that followed solidified his status as an elder statesman of cinema. He delivered iconic performances as the Devil in The Devil's Advocate 1997, the seasoned detective in Insomnia 2002, and in the epic confrontation with Robert De Niro in Heat 1995. He continued to return to his first love, the stage, directing and starring in Shakespeare adaptations like Looking for Richard 1996. Even in his later years, his passion hasn't dimmed. His portrayal of Jimmy Hoffa in Martin Scorsese's The Irishman 2019 was a powerful reminder of his unique talent, blending menace and humanity. While he has faced criticism for sometimes leaning into a self-parody of his shouty persona, his dedication to his craft remains absolute. Al Pacino's life is the story of an artist who refused to compromise. He channeled the pain of his childhood, the struggle of his youth, and the intensity of his soul into his work. He didn't just play characters. He inhabited them. He became them. He showed us the quiet terror of power, the loud desperation of ambition, and the fragile humanity that exists within even the toughest exteriors. He is more than an actor. He is a force of nature, a true icon who, through sheer will and unparalleled talent, carved his name into the bedrock of American culture. The fire that ignited in a young boy from the Bronx still burns brightly, a testament to the enduring power of a man who lives for the truth of a moment, both on screen and on stage. He is, and always will be, Al Pacino.